Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on? YouTube, you guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the FIRE movement, financial independence, retiring early. Well, this story doesn't explicitly mention the FIRE movement or the FIRE lifestyle. That's essentially what this is. This is an article from CNBC's Make It section, and it's titled, "This 42-year-old saved $660,000 and moved to Mexico after losing her six-figure job. She says, I realized I could just have a different life." And basically, this woman was working as a receptionist, eventually became a lawyer, focused on saving and investing her money. Couple years ago, she wound up losing her job and kind of decided, rather than getting a job immediately, why don't I take advantage of this time off and do a little bit of traveling? She wound up traveling to a number of different countries, fell in love with Mexico, and then said, what, I got some money saved up. She had about 660 grand saved up. She said, I got some money saved up. I don't need to rush to do anything. Maybe I'll just chill out and live in Mexico for a while. And it kind of led to an accidental retirement. She's gone on to start a YouTube channel and kind of become like I'm kind of confused what she is. I didn't check out her channel, but I guess kind of like life coach slash, financial coach, financial YouTuber. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Before we get started with this, something I'm going to throw out there. I've never really done much in the way of like shout outs or advertisements in videos. Every now and again, I'll take one on if it's something that I think is worthwhile and I kind of agree with. As somebody who owns e-commerce stores and also manages e-commerce stores for other people, I see a lot of like influencers, YouTubers charging like insane money, $1,500, $300 for an Instagram post, for a little YouTube pre-roll ad. So if any of you guys have businesses you want to promote, you sell t-shirts on Amazon merch, you have a Shopify store, you have a product on Amazon, you have some type of service you offer, I will be offering for $99, and I'll even do it for $50 if you pay me in crypto. If you want to pay over PayPal or something, it'd be $99. I'll give you a kind of pre-roll advertisement at the beginning of a video, or mention you as a sponsor of a video, talk a little bit about your product or service, and I'll put a link to you in the description box below. Again, you want to pay with PayPal or some standard payment method, $99. You want to pay me in Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, even Dogecoin or Shiba, I'll do it for $50. So if you're interested, reach out to me, rulesforrebels@gmail.com. I want to start making some more videos. YouTube ads don't pay much money. Don't need to make a ton of money, but I just want my time to be worth something. So feel free to reach out to me. I think it's very affordable, and I think it could be mutually beneficial for both of us. So let's talk a little bit about the FIRE movement. For anybody who's not familiar, and if you watch the channel, you should be somewhat familiar because I talk about it quite a bit. The FIRE movement stands for Financial Independence Retiring Early. Really kind of simplifying it into a nutshell, you're trying to cut expenses as much as possible. You're trying to live off 50% of your income, if not more. If not less, right? So you want to be able to save and invest at least half of your income, if not more. And kind of the goal of doing this is to be able to stockpile enough money and create enough passive income that you can retire at a young age. And I know some people like working, some people love their job. They get a lot of fulfillment and satisfaction out of their job. So even if you're not somebody who wants to retire early, being financially independent gives you a lot more choices in your life. Whenever I talk about the FIRE movement, I always think of a story that I heard on a podcast. There was a guy, he graduated from pharmacy school, became a pharmacist? What do you call it? A pharmacist? I guess pharmacist, that would be the word, right? He became a pharmacist. I guess his wife was from Africa. So maybe a year or two into being a pharmacist at whatever pharmacy he worked at, his wife's family was doing some big family reunion in Africa. It was like a once-in-a-lifetime trip. He was probably never going to get to go there again, was never going to be able to see her whole family at one time. It was just one of those once-in-a-lifetime kind of events, and he really wanted to go. So he asked his boss, can I get 2 weeks off to go to Africa? And I guess they said, we got to think about it. Talk to the other manager. They came back. They said, what? At this time, we just don't think it would be right for the company. Now imagine if this guy was somebody who lived paycheck to paycheck, he would have needed to pretty much kiss his boss's ass, say, thank you for considering it, Bill, and, skipped his trip, skipped his vacation. Well, this guy was financially independent or financially secure. And one thing I want to point out, financial independence, financial security, fuck you money. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need enough money to never work again. but having enough money so that you could go 6 months, a year, 2 years without working, it puts the ball in your court. It puts a lot of power in your court. If you're not in that position, pretty much anything your boss or your employer asks of you, you're going to have to do. If you are in that position, you can say, fuck you, or I'm not going to do that. And if you wind up getting fired, no skin off your neck, no skin off your back, you can afford to go 6 months or a year without a paycheck while you look for another job. So that's exactly what this guy did. This guy said, you know what? I don't know if me being at this company right now is the right thing for me. Well, you know what wound up happening? His employer wound up caving. They wound up letting him go on that trip. But if he was not financially secure to be able to kind of give a little pushback, that would have never happened. I think another great example is right now with the thing in your arm. Not saying that the thing in your arm is good or bad. I think it's good that we have it out there. I think it's good that it's an option for people. And I think for some people, it does make sense. But if you do not want that thing and your employer is going to require that thing, if you are financially secure, you can say, fuck you, I'll go get another job. So being financially secure gives you a lot more power and puts the ball in your court. I recently heard, I wish I could find what episode it was on. I just saw a clip on Instagram, but Joe Rogan was talking about having fuck you money. And Joe Rogan has true fuck you money. Not only was he already incredibly wealthy, but after the $100 million Spotify deal, he's really got FU money. So he was talking to somebody and they kind of asked him about why he's being a little bit more outspoken or open with his opinions. And he said, you know what? He said, what's the point of having fuck you money if you don't get to say fuck you every once in a while? What's the point of having that power if you can't flex it? And he said he's decided to flex it a little bit here recently and kind of be true to himself and kind of not bite his tongue with his opinions. All that rambling and ranting out of the way, let's get into this article. Again, this one comes to us from CNBC. This 42-year-old saved $660,000 and moved to Mexico after losing her six-figure job. I realized I could just have a different life. Rashida Dow has always been a hard worker, from her early days as a receptionist to her decision to go to law school and spend years as a consumer automotive finance lawyer in Silicon Valley. She is well accustomed to the grind. But in 2018, at age 39, everything changed when she was laid off and decided to capitalize on her newfound joblessness by taking a year to travel the world. During her travels, she realized that she was loving having the freedom to do whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted, and decided to turn her sabbatical into a full-time lifestyle. Dow has since left her life in the United States behind. She now lives in Mexico City, where she is enjoying what she calls an accidental retirement, working as a life coach and running her own YouTube channel. Now 42, Dow's investment portfolio is worth more than $1 million, and she isn't planning on leaving retirement anytime soon. Building a positive relationship with money. She grew up in a middle-class family. Dow's parents didn't talk to her about finances very often, she says. There were times when I knew we had money, and there were times when I knew we didn't, Dow tells CNBC's Make It. But it really wasn't a topic of daily conversation. My parents kept me out of their money conversations. Earlier in her career, while working as a receptionist after graduating from college, Dow wasn't very financially savvy. Part of what led to her law school at the University of Virginia was the realization that I couldn't afford myself on her receptionist salary. The law degree allowed Dow to command a much higher salary, but also left her with more than $200,000 in student loan debt, including some left over from her undergrad years. She tackled the debt by diligently cutting down on her expenses and putting money towards her loans before spending on other things. That's one thing I wanted to touch on when we talk about the FIRE lifestyle. Some people kind of take it to an extreme and get so cheap that they never do anything fun, they never travel, they never go out to eat, and they never enjoy anything. I think it's important to find a balance. And here's one thing that the FIRE lifestyle, the FIRE movement is all about. Find the things in your life that truly give you value, that truly give you happiness, that you couldn't live without, and don't be afraid to spend in those areas. But then find the other areas where you're just kind of like senselessly spending money on things that you don't even really enjoy. If you're not into fashion, but you're buying yourself expensive clothes that you don't really care about, why are you doing that? If you're not really that into cars, but you buy a BMW just to impress your coworkers or just to impress the neighbors, sell that Beamer, get yourself a Honda Civic, and invest that extra money, right? Find the things that you get enjoyment and value out of. And definitely don't be afraid to spend on those things. Enjoy life, but the things that you don't enjoy, cut mercilessly in those areas, and take that money, save it, and invest it. This is Dow right here. After paying off her debts while working as corporate counsel, Dow kept the habit she had built and put any extra money towards savings and investments. I got into a habit of putting that same amount of money away every month, she says. As my income grew, I pushed a larger amount of that money aside. So I'm guessing, if she was putting aside 20% of her income when she was working as a receptionist, say making 50 grand, when she was making 200 grand as an attorney, she still continued putting that 20K away, or that 20% away, if not more. Losing her job, but finding herself in 2018, the company she worked for was shut down by its parent company, and she ended up getting laid off and losing her six-figure salary, which at that point was about $200,000 a year. Instead of looking for a new job right away, Dow decided to take a year to travel. During her year abroad, Dow visited 44 cities in 23 countries, but Mexico City was the only place she visited more than once. I really loved how I felt when I was here, she says. I loved the energy of the city. That's why, despite her original plan to return to the U.S. after her career break and find a new job, Dow decided to stay in Mexico. Traveling and seeing that the way we work ourselves to death in America is not common around the world made me realize I could have a different life if I made the choice to have a different life, she says. And you know what? I had mentioned in a video we did earlier today about how a lot of people are leaving cubicles, leaving corporate jobs, and going to work on farms and things like that. I think a lot of people are realizing that, slaving away, devoting your whole life to work, doing something you hate, working in a cubicle under fluorescent lights, staring at a screen all day, even if it gets you a little bit more money, that may not be the life that you want to live. Kind of makes me think of the movie Office Space, right? The guy had a, quote unquote cushy white collar job, but eventually in the end, he wound up happier living a simple life, working outdoors, working construction, fucking amen, right? With more than $500,000 in her investments at the time and about $150,000 in stock from her old company, Dow calculated that she had more than enough money to live in Mexico for at least a while. And here's something I'd like to point out. When it comes to the FIRE lifestyle, the FIRE movement, I think a lot of people think, well, oh yeah, that sounds great, that sounds sweet, but that's only for Silicon Valley, San Francisco computer programmers making $250,000 a year. That's only for engineers. That's only for doctors. You know what? You would be amazed that there are people who work normal, everyday, kind of blue-collar jobs and are able to live the FIRE lifestyle and retire at, late 30s, early 40s, possibly even sooner. If you save, if you invest, it definitely is possible. There's also different spin-offs of the FIRE lifestyle. You have people who are into fat FIRE, which is, people who are balling, people who have a lot of money and retire early. You kind of have normal FIRE, which would probably be like you saved up $700,000 and then decide to retire. There is something called lean FIRE. Lean FIRE is basically, people who work probably middle-class jobs making $40,000 to $70,000 a year who are able to retire. Maybe they have to live simpler lives. Maybe they have to sacrifice a little bit, but they are able to kind of get freedom over their own life. There is something called poverty FIRE, which I wouldn't recommend. This is people who try to live on, I want to say $12,000 or less per year. There's also something called Coast FIRE or Barista FIRE. So maybe you're 30, 35 years old. You got a couple $100,000 in the bank. If that money is invested by the time you hit retirement, that will be enough to retire on and live off of due to the appreciation, but you can't retire today and start digging into that money. So what a lot of people will do, hence why it's called Barista FIRE, maybe they get a low stress job at some place like Starbucks, or they get a job at Trader Joe's. They get maybe a lower paying job. It's enough to cover their everyday expenses, and they get health insurance. And again, that's why they call it Coast FIRE. All you really have to do is coast until you hit retirement, and then you have your pool of retirement money there waiting for you. But this, you don't have to be making six figures or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to make FIRE a reality for you. Traveling and seeing the way so we talked about that. She says, I had paid off all my debt. I saved money, she says, and when I realized I didn't want to work again, I did the math. She is currently on a 1-year residency visa, and in 4 years will be eligible to apply for a permanent visa. While Mexico City isn't as affordable to live as other parts of the country, Dow says that the $1,200 rent for her high-rise apartment is still less than she had been paying in the U.S. Overall, her expenses clock in at about $2,300 a year. A couple years back, I was renting a small little apartment by the beach in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I think it was $650 or $700 a month. There are definitely cheaper places to live, but this woman coming from the Bay Area or Silicon Valley, I'm sure she was probably used to paying like $3,000, $5,000 a month for her apartment. So I'm sure $1,200 a month sounds like a deal to her to live in a luxury high-rise apartment. It probably is. Living the dream. While she was traveling, Dow posted updates about her journey so that her family and friends could follow along. Over time, she grew a following of fans, some of whom reached out to her for advice. Strangers, mostly women, were reaching out to me and saying, "You took a career break. I want to do that too. Can you tell me more about it?" she says. "I was helping everyone who came along, and I eventually realized I could do this as a business. Now Dow works as a life coach, helping women who want to take their careers back, leave jobs that don't deserve them behind. Her clients are often women who want to live abroad but don't know if they can. A lot of my time is spent showing people the possibilities and showing them what life would look like if they made the leap too." Dow says she also runs a YouTube channel where she documents her travels. These revenue streams bring in $3,000 to $5,000 each month. The income that I'm getting from this prevents me from needing to withdraw into my investment, she says. It looks like they did link to her YouTube channel, so I'll link to this article as well as her YouTube channel in the description box below. Despite the fact that she runs a successful business, Dow considers herself retired. She never works more than 4 days a week and occasionally takes weeks or months off at a time to do whatever she wants. A lot of people think retirement means you're not working at all, and if you are working, you're not really retired, she says. "I only do work I love, and I only do what I want to do." That's kind of what, if you guys followed the channel for a while, you probably heard me talk about solopreneurship. That's kind of what that's all about. Ultimately, her life is designed to sustain her level of happiness, she says, she experienced while traveling, during which Dow says she was the best version of myself. "I was open, I wasn't stressed, I was allowed to do whatever I wanted to do," she says. "When I had the opportunity to remake my life from scratch, I made the decision that made me happy." Here we got, what's his name? How a 31-year-old YouTuber making $6.1 million a year spends his money. Graham Stephan. Maybe we'll cover that in a future episode. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Are any of you guys into the FIRE lifestyle, the FIRE movement? Anything you guys have to share, I'd love to hear it from you. So go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below. Ding the bell, all that good YouTube jazz. And I will catch you guys on the next video.